Small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
Let's go.
Holy wow, I forgot about that one.
That one piece about the vaccines, I had totally forgotten about that. And that is a major piece. And if you look at it in the context of kind of the show, there really was no reason for that piece about the vaccines. So it was that episode, Fringe, season 1, episode 17, that was. And a little girl says, oh, I have to get a vaccine and they're going to put dead stuff in me. And there was no reason, like that whole piece does not fit with the storyline. It's like someone was like, here's a message. We'll just drop this one little piece into this show. And at the end, when she says, they put this stuff, the dead stuff they put in me, but now it's alive. Okay, but that's exactly what happens. That is exactly what happens with the vaccine. When they call them killed vaccines, a killed vaccine cannot possibly work because if it's a dead virus, the body will reject it, it won't recognize it as live, and it will not develop any kind of immunity to it. So it's an attenuated virus. They call it killed, but they actually mean attenuated, which means it's sort of dead, and then as soon as it mixes in the bloodstream, it comes back to life again. And that's all vaccines. So that little piece in that show, I'd completely forgotten about it. And it has no relevancy to the episode. Like, it's just a piece that they just plunked in there. Here's a little bit of notice about vaccines. That's pretty fucking crazy shit. And like you say, I'd completely forgotten about that.
How many episodes is in season 1?
I think there's 22. Oh, hold on, I actually pulled it up. Hold on, I think it's 20 episodes. So like next week we could do 18, 19, 20 and be finished with season 1.
That'd be just grand.
And this is the big shit right now. Like this is like now with the introduction of Nick Lane and the Cortexiphan shit, this is where we get into the real heavy shit. The really cool stuff. Yeah. Now, of course, the thing about Fringe and the stuff about Walter studies, and of course it's all like the MK Ultra stuff, the child programming stuff, we know for a fact that all this stuff actually happened. So I had a thought while watching this episode. We have all these young men, all these young white men in the States who've gone on these bizarre killing sprees. And they all have that same, like you look at the theater shooting in Colorado, and like they all have that same just bizarre blank expression, etc. And the question has always been, what was the trigger? Because in the Awake community, the fact that they were MK Ultra or a similar programming victims has been a given. It's as soon as you look at them, you're like, yes, you are definitely MK Ultra or something like that. But this episode brings in the kind of thing that they talk about how we always paired the children together.
Yeah, that's actually called twinning.
Okay, so get this now. Look at what they said. Nick Lane has always been in the loop. He remembers the trials. He remembers all the stuff. He is triggered. Someone comes to him to really turn him back on again. Says all the right words. He said to me, Olive, he said to me all the right words, all the old things. And who does it trigger? Well, it triggers him, but it doesn't just trigger him. it triggers his twin pair. So what if, in all these searches that they go through for all these guys, like the Colorado Theater, I can't remember what his name, his dad was way, way high up, important in banking. They're always looking to, well, what's the connection? What's the connection with this guy? What made him do these things, etc. But what if the connection isn't someone going to him and triggering him? What if the connection is his twin pair is triggered and brought on board, and that triggers him? So there's no connection. Childhood friends, they went to the same school. There'd be no fucking connection to see. What if this is the kind of shit that, like when we look at some of the crimes that we've seen, some of these shooting sprees, where like we know these guys have been seriously programmed. And you have to know that deep within, like the FBI and these guys, they know about MK Ultra. They know this shit is all true. But if you're looking for, like I said, someone directly contacting the shooter and you can't find anyone, but there's a twinned pair out there who has been all along, going along, doing all the programming, being completely under control, could you then connect the one to the other? Exactly, Sony. Complete the circuit. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. That's the thing that I love about Fringe, because Fringe puts all these little pieces in front of you. And it's all, kind of like, the jigsaw puzzle pieces are all there. And everyone likes to think, oh, yeah, it's just good TV show. It's just interesting. It's fun. Everything, all these pieces that we know they're doing all this experimentation. Bioweapons, things like that. We know all that shit is ongoing. So, yeah. There's one piece about the Cortexiphan and the Nick Lane and the Dunham thing. Interesting. Really, really interesting.
I was going to say real quick too, and you just mentioned, like Sonny mentioned that, like the circuit, makes the circuit complete. I was just thinking of I think I read it in the Mayan Factor, like I'm paraphrasing, like the galactic circuit board type of thing, or this electro circuitry of everything, electromagnetic circuitry of everything.
Yep, that's why I can always watch Fringe. I can always be, and it's another one of those shows that every time you watch it, you pick up another piece. Like the bit about the vaccines, I don't remember. I hadn't really caught in on the actual triggering on that one until this time. It was like, oh, that's a deliberate piece they've put in there because it plays no part of the story. But someone wanted to get a message out. Here you go.
Well, Danny, you got to remember that series was aired on TV, and it started in 2008. Back then, we knew stuff, but we had no clue like we know now. And what they were, they knew that stuff. They were putting it out. They knew about it, but we didn't. That's for sure. We even the ones that were kind of looking into stuff, we weren't looking in that direction. We didn't have a clue at that point, but we do now. Interesting.
Yep. Fringe is J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is one of those guys who I always keep an eye on. Now, my kids just went to see a movie this weekend, and it just came out this week in the theaters. It's like a girl's name starts with an A, Dark Angel, or Alita Dark Angel, or Alita Battle Angel. That's it. Alita Battle Angel. James Cameron, who's another one who I always look out for, James Cameron movies. And they came home from the movie and they were like, oh my God, Mom, you have to see this movie. When you see this movie, you're going to lose your shit. You are serious. And Quinlan looked at me and was like, as soon as this movie comes out, you're going to need to watch it with the UnFuckers. Holy crap. So I'm waiting for it to come out so I can get a good cam rip of it so I can watch it soon. So yeah, another James Cameron, J.J. Abrams. I keep my eye on both of them. Because, I don't know, something about them, they always seem to put some interesting pieces in their movies and their shows. J.J. Abrams is also Westworld, right? Definitely interesting pieces in the shows. Oh, fuck Titanic. Fucking. I've never seen Titanic. I'm very proud to announce I've never seen Titanic. Yeah, I kind of always say there's certain people who I watch, and they just consistently put out little pieces, and kind of the same way you have authors. Certain authors put out pieces, and did put out pieces for ages. And if you kind of look at even in the idea of in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, it was all authors putting out these science fiction and fantasy books that had so much truth in them. So much, well, let's not call it truth. Let's just say that opened up our eyes to the possibility that reality may not be exactly what we think it is. And now it's movies, right? Like it's the movies that are doing this, and TV shows. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Yeah. It's funny because I was watching someone in Lori posted in the UnFuckers a video. It's a long video. It's like 3 hours long. And it's a guy. His name is, hold on, I've got the video open up here. Jay Dreamer presenting this thing on the plasma apocalypse. It's 3 hours long. I'm literally exactly halfway through it. And while I don't necessarily agree with everything he's bringing together or his interpretation of all the stuff, he's got some interesting things he says. And one of the things that I just loved right at the very beginning, and he said it multiple times during the first half, is there are all these pieces in science fiction, in fantasy, in movies, in TV shows, giving us the pieces. And he said, those who have the eyes to see are able to pull out the pieces of truth and have those moments where you watch something and go, wait a second. And I've always felt that way. And to the point of, we've talked about physical body sensations and that you have occasionally when, how do you call it? Like an emotional, energetic connection to something. When you read truth, when someone tells you something that's really deep and you resonate with it, and you'll get almost like a physical sensation in the body that's almost like an affirmation. Yeah, well, like some people express it like goosebumps. Some people it's like tingles. Some people you can feel like an energy rush through the body. And when I read books, especially some of my oldest favorite authors, like Robert Heinlein and David Eddings and this, I will get to, and it's really funny because I have not been reading for fun. Reading for fun I haven't done in years. I just have not had time. Okay. I haven't had time to read for fun, just fiction stuff, for years. And I started in the last 2 months in making myself go back to every day, sitting down, even if it's just 20 minutes before I go to sleep, reading for fun again. Reading not for research, where your brain is like, shh. And I've had multiple experiences now where I read something and have a full body reaction to it. And the first couple of times it happened, I kind of went, oh, is that you start looking externally. You're doing things like looking at the graphs and looking at what's going on around me that may have given me this feeling, this energetic kind of feeling. And then I began to realize, no, it's actually reading it in the book. To the point now, so the book I'm reading now, I'm reading a David Eddings series, and it's a series of his I've never read before, so it's brand new to me. I'm almost anticipating moments upcoming into the book. Like you can almost feel there's something going to come, like an anticipation. There's going to be something you're about to read. And in the older books, so for example, I just finished rereading Belgarath the Sorcerers, which is one of my most favorite books of all times. And in some of the pieces in that book, like the rushes of energy that I got, that made me sad, that all of a sudden I started to really take note of them and go, there's a profound truth that's just been said. This is like I'm having literally a reaction to these words that is a serious, like profound truth. And I've started kind of trying to take note when you have those reactions, even if it's like listening to a piece of music, and I took the afternoon off today for a couple of hours, and all I did was sit and watch YouTube videos of some of my favorite performers, mostly opera I was listening to actually. And there were certain songs, there were certain performances that you knew, you can feel it, and it's like an energy. So I don't know what this Jay-Z guy was, Jay Dreamers was saying about the fact of it's like the truth is being put into everything. TV shows, movies, books. And if you have the eyes to see it, if you have the ability to recognize it, there's hints there. And I think it's one of those things where we have to start kind of really taking note of these instances. Like, what are the pieces that just keep pinging you, for lack of a better word? Ping, and why does it ping? And it's funny because even, for example, singers. Why does, and you can have, listen to, one of my favorite operas is Nessun Dorma. I love that. That piece is just one of my most favorite pieces. And you can listen to one person sing it, and it's like, okay, that was nice. But then you can listen to another person sing it, and it's just, your whole body is almost like involved. Every sense of you is completely involved in it. And which to me, I sit there and analyze it and say, oh, it's got to be a frequency thing. There's got to be an energetic, a frequency thing that you're hearing in the performance. And certain performers have it, and certain performers just don't. There's something there. There's like these trigger pieces that we get. I have an itch in my eye, and I have to take off my gloves to scratch it because holy crap. So anyways, guys, yes, so that was me blathering on. That's my little piece for the moment. Take note of these little triggers that we have, these little moments where you have almost like a physical reaction to something you're hearing, something you're reading, listening to.
This is making me think now of the power of manifestation. It just hit me. If you're even reading something aloud, giving it more power than even if you're thinking it or if you're doing both. I just thought about that. Just reading something that, actually, it's probably amazing how many people are unconsciously reading. I just happen to think of that too.
Yep. The truly great creators. Robert Heinlein's one of his most famous theories. The truly great creators create the worlds they create. Literally create them.
Just how many of us, I was just thinking too, how many of us have read a book? I've done this, like if you're reading something and you read it again to make sure you're really getting it.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Are you eating Cheez-Its? Where's your good food, Dawn? Where's your good food, Dawn?
I'm so embarrassed.
You should be. I'm watching what you're eating.
I know. I have a
You
real.
have an orange.
They just came out with the Toasty brand. The Toasties are the best.
You're
Guilty party. I bought the damn things for her.
Oh, don't knock it. Listen, I used to love Cheez-Its too. I used to love them as well. So I totally get it.
Girl, there's some things. Yeah. Moy knows.
Yeah. Ritz crackers is one of the ones for me. I can literally get a box of Ritz crackers and just eat the entire box. No idea
Yeah,
what
I'm mad about that.
crackers, just plain ones.
And then he went and bought me all these Hershey bars. And so the night he brought them home, I ate a bunch of cheese nips and I ate a bunch of Hershey bars. And at 3 in the morning, I woke up and I threw up because it would just made me so fucking sick. And Maury goes, I told him when I got up, I go, I was sick last night. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I got up, peed, and went back to bed, and I heard you. So yeah.
Perhaps you need to not quite binge that much.
It's only been because of Bert dying lately. I hadn't felt right.
I get it. Listen, hun, I eat whatever I can fucking get myself to eat right now. Quite literally, it's like I've got so limited. I made pasta tonight. I mean, I worked for like, I don't know, Nick and I built the sauce. It was like 2-3 hours cooking the sauce, and I made an Alfredo sauce to go with it, and we made tortellinis, and I choked back half a bowl, and like that was just, and it was like force yourself to eat.
Hey, Danny, on that one, at least while I was there, which was, I think, 12 nights, she ate good. Not massively good, but she ate good. And I think she'll do it if she just start using her kitchen instead of the telephone or the computer to order the stuff.
He's talking about a service called DoorDash where I can order food and they'll bring it to me. And that's when I'm lazy but I'm hungry. So, I'm not all of us are brilliant cooks like Danny.
Yeah,
okay? Some of us are highly lacking in that area.
There's no delivery around here. So, like, especially in wintertime. Like, in summertime, you get a couple of private services that'll do that for you. But, yeah, there's no delivery around here.
Well, and I get food delivered where I have to make it, which is good for me.
Yeah, you told me about that. That's those kind of the meals where they give you all the stuff and they give you the instructions on how to build it. And, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. But lately I've been depressed. So, I tend to eat and act out.
Uber Eats here. No, there's no Uber Eats here. Trust me. And in winter, everything's closed. Like we actually went out and the girls were out at a movie Friday night, and so it was just Nick and I and the boys, and we were like, let's just go get food. And there's in our entire village, there's only 2 restaurants open. And we went early because there's one restaurant that we actually like that makes really good chips. And we went early because they close at 5 o'clock at night. So we went at like 4:30 to go buy dinner for everyone.
Hey, Danny, I got a quick question for you. This is off track from what you're talking about, but Dawn posted a video about Malta in the UU. I don't know if you've looked at it or not, but effectively they said a few things that are probably true. But I'm wondering, since you live there and have,
I have. What was the video?
Dawn, you might know what that is. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It's only about 30 minutes long. It isn't very long. It was basically the guy maintained a couple of things. One that the ancient ruins, meaning the rock formations and castles and stuff like that, were actually instruments that were working prior to the deluge.
Yep. Okay. So
my question would be, if that have you run into that aspect or that kind of storyline, first of all?
Yeah. So the hypogeum The Hypogeum is the biggest of the underground temples, and that's the image that you see. That's like the temple is rounded, like you'll see the wall is rounded and it's got all the niches carved out in it. Now, I have not been to the Hypogeum in 25 years, and they've spent a good portion of the time closing it down. They always say it's for renovations and reconstruction, etc. But there have been rumors. Well, I mean, there are huge rumors, old ancient rumors. Oh, look, Dawn's on like two versions of Dawn. Number one, there's been a lot of weird shit seen in that Hypogeum temple, and there's caves under there. So it's not just a temple, like there's an underground temple that's carved out of the live rock, but there's actually caves and all kinds of catacombs that have been all closed off now. Rumors of giants. That is also where the conehead skulls were found, like hundreds and hundreds of them, which have all gone missing now. And it said that the main chamber of the temple resonates at such a frequency that there have been claims saying that basically if you were to hit the right frequency, you could levitate, that you could heal anything in that chamber, and apparently real strange shit happens if you start oming, like, and if you just can, and quietly start toning and get to just the right frequency, all kinds of strange shit has happened. People have seen some wild stuff in there. But they keep it mostly closed off, and now it just reopened again spring 2017. They opened it again, and it had been closed for, I don't know, at least 7 or 8 years. And they take in, you can only go through with a tour guide. They only take, I think, 10 people at a time, and you have to book in advance to go. It's not like you can just show up and wait. You have to actually book it through a ticketing agency in advance, and apparently it's like you got to book it 6 months in advance to go, a lot of the times. And they're very, very, like, no recordings are allowed to be done. You're not allowed to take recordings. You're not allowed to, obviously you're not allowed to start humming or toning in there. So, yeah.
Well, the reason I asked that, and I made a question underneath in the comments on it, so I point you in that direction. No, on the video, on the posting that was made.
I haven't seen it, so can someone do me a favor? Can someone like bump it up to the top of the page? Because I haven't seen it.
Well, it wasn't posted in UU. I posted it on Maurice's page.
Oh, that's where I saw it. Never mind.
So I'll move it over. My computer keeps getting hit, Danny. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I know.
It's bad. I mean, I posted, I ran across info. It's getting a little off topic, but y'all know my story, and I experienced gang stalking at one point, and things that I didn't understand, right? I didn't have any knowledge of any of this. So, like 9 years later, I find out some shit. I find out there's actual fusion center over here on the north side of town by me, which is where they carry the gang stalking out of here in Houston.
Delightful.
Pretty fucking close. The guy that come out with all this information lives over here. I'm trying to contact him right now. What else? There's something else I was going to tell you. Anyway, ever since
Computers. You were saying your computer is like
ever since I really started looking into this, it's gotten worse. And today I posted something about it, and they're just hitting me hard.
No, my computer's doing the same thing. Like, it's just
it's a joke.
I don't know if John's back yet. I found a piece of software on my computer, and it was something that I downloaded, like a PDF reader, just something that's like a kind of program you just wouldn't think anything of it. Since I removed it, touch wood, my computer has started working a little better.
Oh, good.
I'm not like majorly delayed, like I was telling you, John, like where it was like you click and it would take sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 seconds to actually.
Yeah, it's bad, man. I'm gonna have to take mine in. I've even had Geek Squad remotely try to fix this at least 3 times. And I don't know. I don't know, man. You know, I've had, okay, so let me tell you what else.
Failing right now, Dawn. Technology across the board is fucking failing everywhere. And it's not just computers, it's like websites, internet-based things, servers are going down.
Movies.
Yeah, but let me tell you what else happened. Let me tell you what else happened.
Audio for movies.
I know. So, you know, I had some workers come out here and check some stuff outside, and they were leaving. And, you know, the power at my house had to be turned off, and then we turned it back on. And Maury and I were dealing with Bert at the time, so I'm running over there. Well, I come back, and I have no internet. I mean, in fact, I have no phone. I have nothing. I'm dead in the water. So I call, and, you know, they can't get any signal into my house. So they say, oh, we'll send someone tomorrow. So the guy shows up. He goes up you know how I tell you about my attic, right? And I don't like it up there. You know, I don't even go up there by myself. So we go up there. I'm not shitting you guys. My entire system was unplugged.
Literally so.
And it had been wrapped around the wood because the guy that came out here was the guy from the time before. And we had wrapped it around a piece of wood and then plugged it into the socket so it would stay. And when we went up there, it had been unplugged and unwrapped and was laying on the fucking floor. And he looked at me and said, "It's unplugged. What's going on?" And I went, you know, I go, "Nobody's been up here.
Nobody's been up here.
Nobody." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Obviously, there had to be." And I'm like, "No, there has not been anyone in my attic." So here I am again in that moment where I got that fucking deer in the headlights look, right? And I come down and you know, Maury's gone to get his food. So he walks in the door and I'm just like, it happened again.
You mean
fucking attic,
the magical attic that had
What's
itself
going on with my attic?
repaired when you weren't looking?
What?
You mean the magical attic that had itself completely fixed when you weren't looking?
Yeah.
That one.
And let me add in that Maury and I were hearing the creaking. It was loud. And I said to him, he was sitting right here. I said, "It's starting again, that creaking, and it's loud, you know." And I said, "I'm scared to go up there. I don't want to go up there."
Yeah, she said, "I won't go up there unless you go up there with me." Well, I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, "You're gonna have to go up there first, and I'll fall."
Yeah, it didn't happen that way.
You with a baseball bat.
Yeah, at least.
You know what I mean? Because my attic's huge, and
it's not easy to get into, and it's for damn sure. There's an entrance in the garage.
Yeah. So I was like, did they get in? Yeah. You know, I was just, so I got everything locked down for sure. But yeah, I don't like that attic because things happen up there. And as soon as, and the way you know is all that creaking starts. When you hear all that shit, something's happening.
Well, you know, in Canada, we have these things called raccoons.
Yeah,
I already had it all checked for that. I already had people out for that. I've already gone all through that route, girl. I was convinced I had critters. There was not even any fecal poop of anything up there. Nothing.
Fecal poop.
Okay, I had it all checked. All you have is roaches.
You're funny.
So anyway, you can't explain that, no, Danny, how that would have happened.
But, you know, does that just fall into the category of what we were talking about
Here,
before
it's
the movie?
muted there.
What?
No, we can hear you, John.
It wasn't working earlier. You can still hear me? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Your audio is just like, the gremlins have come into John, to your audio and just like gone, woohoo, we'll turn this one off and we'll turn this one on and we'll flip this one to like to be the opposite of what it was last week. And
If it was just settings, I would be okay with it, but the settings are correct.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Someone's like totally like wiped out your settings and reset them to be opposite of what they should be.
In my voice meter banana mixer, my microphone is muted. It should not be going anywhere.
Welcome to technology. Welcome to technology and all the fuckery that goes along with it.
Yes, in this matrix, exactly.
Back to the question that I started to ask, Danny.
Yes.
Let's assume that these, like that hypogeum that you mentioned, and the other, I guess there's like 66 or some God knows number of various ancient structures made out of stone in Malta and Gozo. That's what he said in that video anyway. And he maintained that they were actually functioning energetic things that back to your alignment situation that you and Lisa used to talk about, that were working with the upper realm, so to speak, okay? And then the deluge came and shit went kablooey everywhere. My question is it possible that those things are still functioning and we just don't know it? Do you know, or have you heard any kind of
don't know. It's okay. So I just pulled up the video clip. Someone's posted, several people now posted it. That's Francis Alosio. He's a friend of mine. The guy who was talking in that video.
Was the guy.
Yeah, he did the tour, when we had the UnFuckers gathering here, he's the one who took us on the tour of one of the local temples, Gigantia. So,
right.
and did the whole talk with everyone. Francis is lovely. Now, Francis has his own particular skew. He personally believes that Malta and Gozo is the original Atlantis.
That's what he said in the video too.
That basically the tops of the island here is like the very tops of what's still left.
He said that too. In that,
and I don't necessarily agree with him on that. But he has a very interesting perspective because he has been studying the temples, and he is a recognized tour guide, so he gets to go into any of the temples anytime he wants. He can go to Hypogeum and go do all kinds of stuff. So I just found out that he's moving to Gozo. He arrives here. He arrives here next month, and he's just done with Malta. He's moving to Gozo. Apparently, he's buying a place. So I'm thrilled because I'm like, oh, awesome. Francis will be close by. Him and I can go out and have coffee and just chit chat. There's a lot of stuff with the temples in Malta. And this is the thing about Malta that's very, very strange. There are 365 Catholic churches in this country.
God dang.
There's only 450,000 people on the entire country. So put that into perspective. There's 365. Oh, just so happens to be one for every day of the year. Catholic churches in the country for 450,000 people.
May I?
Yes, merci.
In the video link I just posted, they say that they built those churches on entrances. All right.
I've spoken to a lot of people who strongly suspect, number one, yes, that a lot of the big churches, the cathedrals that we know have catacombs underneath them, is that those catacombs that are underneath them were part of old temples. And they planted massive, like on some of these main energetic points, they put massive cathedrals on them. It's also been hypothesized that there's a shit ton of ley lines that all interconnect. And the same thing, all these churches have been placed perfectly all over the place to control the energy, to warp it, etc. Now, the other thing I've also said multiple times is Malta's one of the only places I know of anyways that still rings the time of day with the bells. The church bells ring the time of the day. That means, now, not all the churches ring the quarter hours, but let's even say that 50% of them, let's say 50% of them ring the time. That means that every 15 minutes, morning, noon, and night, there are bells ringing all over the island, and they're all out of tune. And I have said this multiple times, I do not believe, considering how much money they spend on building these cathedrals, that they would have bells made that are out of tune. Like what? That doesn't make logic. If you're going to spend massive amounts of money on these gilt, gold-drenched cathedrals with chandeliers, etc., that the bells would be out of tune. And I highly suspect that it's deliberate. Bells ring a frequency. And so if you just have continuously every 15 minutes, morning, noon, and night, every 15 minutes, the entire country has got bells ringing, and they're all out of tune with each other, that has to it has to be something to do with frequencies and been done deliberately. I don't believe it can be anything else. And then you have all the temples. Malta has more temples than anywhere else in the world. And the same thing, on an island that's that fucking big, you basically can't even walk for longer than 15 minutes without tripping over a temple. So if all the ancients put these temples here, everywhere, and now you have all these Catholic churches all over the place, everywhere, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason why.
I'll offer a suggestion on that one, Danny.
Go ahead, hit me, darling.
All right, deliberate dissonance on purpose. If energy, sound is energy as well, vibration, just like all kinds of other waves that we have.
Yep.
Yeah, it was done deliberately to mess up the frequency that's maybe originally here. Yep. And they do it regularly on purpose to make damn sure it stays that way.
Uh-huh. And that's what I think too. That's exactly what I think. Now, the other thing about this island, there's a massive amount of this island that has crystal. So we have calcite crystal here. Now, when the UnFuckers were visiting in spring of 2017, and we had the UnFuckers gathering here, the house they were staying in that village, in the village of Shara, have got crystals. I used to live in the village, and when I was helping, my father-in-law was digging out a swimming pool in one of the houses he was building. He pulled up calcite crystals that were the size of an easy chair. And that's just what they broke apart. And that when the UnFuckers were visiting, they were looking at, there was a rubble wall surrounding the yard. And they're looking and they're going, oh my God, it's crystal. Like half the rocks were massive chunks of calcite crystal. They couldn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, like this area of the island is just almost solid crystal. When we talk about, no, the calcites here are a gold tone. They tend, you sometimes get as, hold on, I've got a few here. Hold on, so I got one of these. Hold on, I'm trying to pull out my calcite. So this is an unwashed calcite. So that's got all the salt crustaceans still on it. You can see that's just come out of the ocean. This is a really pale colored one. It's pale, the color isn't true on the camera, but it's a pale yellow. This is one that I play with all the time though. So the salt and the calcite dust and everything has been worn off of it. It's been pretty worn and smooth. And that's more of a deep golden color. But they go right up into, I have a box here. Is that my box? Hold on. I may have a box of crystal sitting right here. I don't know if this is the broken chandelier or if this is the crystal. I can figure out how to open the damn box. There we go. Crystals. Okay, here we go. So, unfortunately, most of these are really still covered in all the salt from the ocean, because I pull these out of the ocean bed. So again, that's a real light colored one. You can see it's got a limestone base on it, so that it's growing right out of the limestone base. But it goes to a deep, almost rich chocolate brown, to like an orangey color. Calcite can come in all colors, but the calcite we have here tends to be the yellows and the golds more than anything else. Energetically, I've reached out many times over years of being here, and felt that there is massive crystals under this island. And I mean, I'm talking like really massive crystals. So
Is there a lot of quartz there?
no, there's very little quartz here. We get it on the beach. It washes up on the beach, but there's actually very little quartz. It's mostly the island's mostly a solid slab of limestone, and we do get a few. We get sandstone, we get limestone, but a lot of lava type stones. There's whole areas that we go walking in that are very obviously have been lava at some point in time, because you can actually see the movement in the stone as it cooled. But calcite is everywhere. Calcite crystal is everywhere, and you can actually look. Sorry.
The reason why I brought that up is that I know from personal experience that if you pulse or squeeze or some mechanically manipulate quartz, it will produce an electric current.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's it. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
microphones. They make quartz microphones.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
I looked up when you have a single bell, a poured bell, okay, bronze
Yep.
cast bell. The strike note is E. Okay, the prime note is typically tuned to E, or in this case, and it says with a hum note, a minor third, a fifth, an octave, or nominal, which could be just whatever it turns out to be, because they don't have anything to fix it with. Okay, but the minor third and the fifth. Okay, and a major third and a perfect fifth in the second octave.
Yep.
So you're mixing a minor third and a major third, an octave apart. The heterodyne is going to be a quarter tone, which is it doesn't tune with anything.
But here's the thing.
Now,
Even the main tone is not a perfect E.
no, I understand that.
They're all
I'm looking at the relationship in the harmonics.
Yeah.
Not necessarily whether it's perfect or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that heterodyne from the minor third and the major third is going to be very slow, but very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in a tone that typically doesn't occur in a musical instrument, because it's a quarter
tone. Yep.
Now, would that slow frequency have an effect on what's in the ground? Is that why they're doing it? Okay, because mixing these frequencies together, you've got basically 5 known tones coming off of this bell. Each one of them is not an octave. It's a third or a fifth.
Yeah.
Now, that third or a fifth may be an octave, but it's still it's disharmonious with the original. You're going to get peaks and valleys in the sound pressure wave that's coming out, but they'll be really slow and melodic. Now, would that be pressing on doing something with the ground, with the minerals in the ground?
Don't know. I have done some research here and there on calcite. Calcite mixes with a lot of other crystals. As in, where you find calcite, you will find other things. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. Like I say, I have always said Malta is a strange place. And historically, every single empire has owned Malta. Every single empire in our known history immediately comes in and takes over Malta. Whether it's the Phoenicians, whether it was during the Arab conquest, the Spanish, the Italians, the French, the Germans did everything they could to take Malta in the Second World War. Now they talk about it and they always say, Malta is it's got a strategic importance in the Med. Not really. Not really. Now, we have the Grand Harbor here. And the Grand Harbor is one of the deepest natural harbors in the world, which is one of the few docks. They do shipbuilding here. And it's one of the few docking centers that they can dry dock an aircraft carrier. And they do. American aircraft carriers, if they have problems, now since they opened up, Malta opened up to different military in 1995 or 96. 95 or 96, Malta opened their and allowed military to come in. And they service the big American aircraft carriers. Have a problem on this side of the world, they go straight to Malta now. Okay, so it's got really deep harbors that are well protected, but still strategically important. Sicily is far more strategically important. Greece is far more strategically important. Spain is far more strategically important. When you talk about the Mediterranean, so I've always said that it doesn't. Why would every single fucking empire
Yeah, that's pretty big.
instantaneously go and take over Malta? Because
That's the size of a small town.
what's the size of a small town?
Oh, I'm just looking at that the dockyard at the south end of the Malta, south end of Malta,
Oh, it's fucking huge.
and what they've got paved over with a hole in it for a boat is the size of a small town.
Yep. The first week that they opened Malta to the militaries. Within 5 days, there was a Russian aircraft carrier, a British aircraft carrier, and an American aircraft carrier, all pulled in at the exact same time, and they dry docked all 3 of them. So that tells you how big the port is. But yeah, why? And I've always said it. Never mind strategic importance and all this kind of shit. When you look at all the fucking temples that are here, when you look at, for example, we have the cart ruts here. We had a huge conversation about this just a few weeks ago. If you go look up the Maltese cart ruts, they call them cart ruts. They're not fucking cart ruts. No one in their right mind could possibly say this. These are trenches dug into solid fucking stone. And I don't mean limestone, which is soft. I mean like hardcore ancient stone. And the trenches are anywhere from about this deep to this deep. They're that wide, and they're about 8 foot apart. And there's certain areas of this island where they run everywhere, but they start out of nowhere and they end out of nowhere. What does that tell you? It's not a fucking cart rut going from one place to another, because it would continue somewhere.
Sounds like irrigation to me.
It's not irrigation. They've already proven that it's not irrigation.
Oh, okay.
They run in straight lines, nowhere near any fields. It's always on the coast, on these solid, there's a couple areas of stone, like I said, where the stone is extremely hard, where it's almost like more of a lava stone. It's where all the salt pans are carved. And you have these, they call them cart ruts. But again, if you go and actually look at them, you're like, it's not a fucking cart rut? Seriously? No. And they estimate that they're like 4,000, well, anyone with a reasonable brain estimates that they're at least 4,000 to 6,000 years old. The Maltese government admits to it being about 3,000 years old. We have fucking shit all over this island that is fucking weird. And enough caves, the caves everywhere, and these caves go all over the place, and it's rumored and has been for generations that there are caves that go from Malta under the sea all the way to Sicily and Italy.
Just think about the Crusades, why they chose specifically Malta, not only for the location, but they didn't have to build everything from scratch, right? Everything you do needs to be carried there or chiseled out of the stone. Also, one more thing about the sounds with the bells of churches. Do we really know that all bells that are up there over here, they don't have just one bell, they have multiple bells, like big, smalls, right? Like, are we sure do we hear everything what these bells are sending out? Because these low frequencies, like elephants do,
Oh yeah.
carry over hundreds of miles, right? Like, but we can't hear it.
Yep. I used to fuck with the bells all the time, especially when I was in Malta. In Gozo, it's not so bad. The winter that we were in Malta, we were in the town of Slema. Where we were, there were 4 churches within 2 blocks of us. And so basically, when they rang the bells, it was like a cacophony. And one would start, and then 10 seconds later, another one would start, and they were all out of tune. They were out of tune from each other. None of them was in what you would call A440 tune. Like, it used to literally make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. So I started for quite a while there, whenever they'd start ringing, especially the mass bells, so not the time bells, but the bells that ring for mass, is I would do subaudial toning back. Be like, I'm going to fuck with you guys. You're going to ring out those frequencies. I'm going to ring out my own frequencies and try and negate your frequencies. I have no idea what they're tuned to, Sony. Like, not a fucking clue. Badly tuned. That's what they're tuned to. They're tuned to bad. So yeah, Malta is one of those mysteries. I'm telling you. It's one of those strange places. You're going to type in 555 and it crashed your Zoom? Nice.
I know that most of the ruins too are underwater. You got a lot.
It's hypothesized. There are certain areas you're not allowed to go scuba diving.
There's
like
some good videos
diving.
out about that.
Yeah, we have an area right in front of our house. So the bay, what I call my crystal bay, which is where I took everyone when they were here to go pick up crystals, the calcite crystals. Whoops, like that. On a clear day, when the water's nice and still, the deep bay, Marcelforn Bay, cuts in very, very deep. And then it kind of comes out and it does this little jog. And it's this little jog here where all the crystals wash up. And then it goes out, and then there's a peninsula that sticks out in the dive rock. When you get just out, maybe 75, 80 meters from the shore, when it's really, really clear, and you look down, so if you're walking up the hill above it, you can look straight down. Nick and I swear that there's a temple right there. It's the perfect spot. If you were an ancient culture who was heavily into, the rising sun, the setting sun, all these kind of alignment type things, if the water level was, 100 feet lower, 200 feet lower, it would be a prime spot. And we swear, we've had rocks wash up on the shore that are ancient slabs of limestone that wash up, and you look at them and you see markings in them, and you're like, you can't tell me that this is just a natural marking. You see almost like the spirals occasionally. We found one in massive slab, like I'm talking 1 meter long by 1.5 meters wide. And on the side, you can see these markings. You're like, it looks like it's a piece of something. A piece of a structure. It doesn't even remotely look like a natural, rock that's just washed up. I don't know. I don't know. You're all invited to come visit, and we'll go investigate. We'll go off hiking and go visit all the temples. And I've just found out another good friend of mine who's been here for 30 years. She's British, but she's lived here for 30 years. She's in the UnFuckers group, but she's very quiet. She doesn't do Facebook very often. A very with it person. She's starting doing tour guiding again. And she hasn't done that in 15 years. And I said to her, fucking awesome. It's about time you got back into it, because she is very energetically savvy. And she's also a good friend of Francis Alosios. So I said, Francis wants to retire and not do tours anymore. Said, so tell him to send all those people who want to go and do the meditations, who want to talk about toning, who want to talk about actual history, who want to talk about crystals and all of this kind of stuff, she's the perfect person to take them around the island because she knows all this stuff. Keep working on that, Sony. Just teleport on over here.
I'd love it if we could all teleport over there.
Just give me enough notice to, like book everyone some rooms, some houses, so that there's places for you to sleep. I'd offer you space in my house, but my house keeps getting invaded by teenagers, so I don't really usually have any even floor space left. Yeah, Mercedes was there when we did all this stuff. Anne was there, but Anne was only there for 2 weeks. Mercedes was here for the whole time for the UnFuckers gathering. She got to see all the insanity in the island.
I wouldn't mind seeing some of that insanity. Different from this insanity right now.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Some interesting rocks to go see. Even just going on the salt pans is a lot of fun. You look at these salt pans and realize that they've been collecting salt out of these pans for thousands of years. Carved right into the bedrock of the island, But yeah, like I said, you guys all have an open invitation. You've got to come down and visit me. That's all. Dawn.
Yes.
Yes, Dawn, who's been saying, yeah, maybe next year I'll come. Yeah, maybe this summer I'll come. Maybe.
I told you my predicament. I can't. I have this claustrophobic thing that.
That one right there is your predicament?
Yeah. I have this claustrophobic thing going where I can't be like I went to Hawaii once and it took 8 hours and I thought I was going to die. I honestly thought I was going to die.
That's what drugs are for.
Yeah, I'm just saying I need to be like where I can lay down and shit. And, it just makes me nervous.
Come on,
I don't know where I get that from.
I fly all over the world. I've done 15-hour flights. Come on, you can do it. Especially if you do it in hopper flights. Like I said, if you do it in hopper flights and you don't do from, say, like you fly from Florida to Lisbon, it's only about a 4.5-hour flight. And then from Lisbon to Malta is only like another 3-hour flight. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to do the whole fucking thing. So you just do little jumps.
As a little aside, Danny, you mentioned that back when I was in the Air Force just a long time ago. It was 1965. I took a flight, a military hop from Elmendorf up at Anchorage, all the way to New Jersey on a C-121 is what they called it. That's the old TWA Constellation. You talk about a long-ass ride. Let me tell you.
Loud and
long. We flew across. I didn't see no lights on the ground for the longest time. We weren't that freaking high. They didn't, maybe 10 or 12,000 feet or something like that. About 275 was the cruising speed, the guy told us. That was a long-ass flight. I think it was, I don't even remember the name of the base. I want to say McGuire, but it was in Trenton, New Jersey. That's a long. We did stop at Wordsmith to, I guess, refuel. They had planned on making it a non-stop flight, but they stopped up there. It was winter. It was cold as shit up there too. Anyway, just a little aside. Long flights, yeah, boy.
Flights are much more comfy nowadays. Much more comfy nowadays.
I would definitely fly to Malta. Yeah, I'd definitely fly to where you're at, D. I think a lot of people would. It's like, I thought about this too. I thought about a few things. It's like there's some things that, you put on your priority list ahead of others, and that would be it going out there. But, yeah.
No, we got to plan another UnFucker gathering. That's all. We got to plan another one. So people have something to aim for. Because no one wants to be here July and August because it's fucking hot and it's fucking full of tourists and no one wants to be here. Even I want to escape during July and August. But like early October is like gorgeous here. It's my favorite time of year.
You said what? September, October?
Yeah. End of September, beginning of September is still really quite hot. Into September and October, it's gorgeous. It's like the perfect weather, like when it's like, you know, lovely and warm during the day. It cools off in the evening, but the water for swimming is still hot. My kids swim. My kids swim right up until December this year. In the sea, I mean. Swimming in the sea right until December. And the locals swim all year round. It's a little cold for me. Once we get past October, the water's too cold for me then.
It's kind of funny. I'm just thinking how many people like are on the beaches with their like light colored skin, and like me, it's like I can't, you know, like we said, I can't tan really. It's like you're on the beach with your shirt off. It's like it's like that Bill Hicks joke. It's like put your shirt back on, dude. You're blinding us.
Yes. Oh, we have Scottish people who come down here. Trust me. Northern Scots people coming on the beach. They're so white, they're blue.
You'll be getting a tan in Sedona, I promise you. You will. You won't be able to help it. You're not whiter than Maury, I can promise you. Those legs hadn't seen the sun in friggin' how long, Maury? 60 years?
At least.
God dang, man. You pulled them suckers out, I almost had a heart attack. So it can't be any worse than that.
You guys need to build up some melanin in your skin. Seriously, it's important. It's important for your health to have melanin in your skin.
You better have some swim trousers, Star. You better go out and get you some. Don't make me have to take you shopping when we get there.
Are you kidding myself? I've got long shorts. I've got these like tropical looking long shorts.
Okay, that's perfect. Those are like surfer. That's fine. That's perfect.
You need those.
You know what? That is exactly what Maurice needs. That's exactly what I told him he needs. Some long ones, you know?
Let's go to your knee.
They go below the knee. They go long, but, you know.
They're not long, yeah.
So he has that. You got to have water shoes, Star.
Absolutely.
I'm aware of that.
There's a picture in my head. I don't know if I can handle that with a straight face.
What?
I've got this all in my head.
Maury and Star in long shorts and swim shoes. I don't.
I'll film it. I'll film it.
Do it. We want.
I will film it.
Those frickin' rocks are slippery.
Damn those rocks for being so damn slippery.
They really are.
No.
Nice.
Well, with the combination of shoes and my, it's good. I look at it this way. It's like I mean, luckily for me, I have good reflexes. So if I got shoes on and I slip and I'm really focused, you know, I'm thinking, it's like, you know, even if I fell and I'm aware of it, I have that split second to just fuck it and just fall. Right on my butt, preferably on my butt. Yeah. Hey,
you're not gonna fall if you got water shoes on, okay?
Yeah, you will. Oh, darling, we have water shoes here because we have a lot of rocks, and I still wipe out regularly.
Well, it makes it's a huge difference. Huge.
I still walk flat-footed, but let me tell you, after I got the darn things, after I had took that tumble, and I didn't trust it for shit, to be honest with you, but at least I didn't fall.
Yeah, it does.
You got to be careful, but it's like night and day.
It's just sense, right? It's just sense, using your head and being one of these people who goes out and does that, and they're not really thinking and think, you got hurt, even though you were supposedly paying attention. It's like, and there's people who repeatedly do it. If they repeatedly do it, it's like, what are you doing?
Like walking across the beach and breaking my foot, just walking across the beach. Yeah. Delightful.
Yeah, it's like needing to change your stuff. It's like needing to put something. It's like, then the person thinks whether they got shoes on or not. It's like, like studded bottoms. Now those are good for ice anyway. If you have studded bottoms, if they work on ice, well, on a rock or whatever, with the moss and shit, the slippery tops and all that.
Okay, dude, I
That's the
think you're
same kind of
overthinking
shoes.
this now, Star.
That's the same kind of shoes the golfers wear.
Yeah, no, we don't need golf
We
shoes.
don't use those.
No.
No.
Okay, Don's, well, it's 1:11, so I've done 11:11 on the show, and I've just done 1:11 now, and I'm going to go to bed because I have to host a baby shower tomorrow, and I am not even remotely prepared, even slightly. As a matter of fact, I've even decided I'm not baking. I'm going to send Quinlan to the store to go buy cake because I'm just not going to have the time, and I still have to make a baby gift. Danny will be up in the morning with the sewing machine. That's what she'll be doing. Well, I love you guys, and I'll see you Wednesday for the UnFuckIt discussion. Next Sunday morning, sorry for you guys in North America, next Sunday morning will be the astrology special with Amina and Jules and Megan and I, and it'll be the first of a few shows. Like it may end up even turning into a series because we got a lot of shit to cover. So
that should be good. That should be.
it's going to be a really. We've got a planning group and pulling slides together and it's going to be really good. But that is going to be 11 o'clock in the morning my time, which is 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys in North America will get to watch the recording, unless you're going to be Star and stay up all night.
Well, it's only 6 in the morning. It's my time, 6 in the morning, even though I'm usually snoozing.
No, darling. Your time is 4 in the morning.
No, Eastern is an hour after me.
Yeah.
Or before me. Yeah, before me, so I'm an hour after Eastern.
Yeah, which means, and Eastern is 6 hours behind me. You are 7 hours behind me. So 4 o'clock in the morning for you, sweetie.
Damn it.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm 10 and set an alarm clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd's like, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Just watch the replay, Dawn. Hey, Danny, be prepared. You're going to have to confront and deal with the creep of the term astrotheology is going to creep into that conversation at some point. So be prepared.
I'm totally cool with that. Cool with that. We're going to be visiting all aspects. Merce, it'll be Sunday. Are you still in Spain? Because then we're on the same time zone. Okay, so it'll be 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, our time. So
I'm going to try to get some sleep myself. Yeah, I'm going to try to get some sleep before that 5 a.m. myself, because just in case. Yeah.
Just in case. Yeah, Merce, once a month. Yeah, so wait, that's the 25th, I think. That's the 25th. And the next Sunday is the first Sunday of the month. So we'll be right back to having the Sunday morning UnFuckers Europe Asian edition the following Sunday morning. So the first Sunday of every month, we do the UnFuckIt discussion on a Sunday morning. So all of us in Europe and Asia can actually do it at a civilized time. Not at 1 o'clock in the morning like this. So there we go. Wednesday, UnFuckIt discussion. Next Sunday is the astrology special. And I will talk to you guys later because I got to go to bed now.
That's fine, too, because I still have to go into the, do number 1. That coffee's going right through me again.
Good night.
Good night, darlings.
Night.